Hello, this is Kids Camp Presents, and I'm your host today, Bill Bascom. I'm here with Rabia Erduman, and we're going to talk about managing stress. Rabia has written a book called Veils of Separation, and she's going to tell us about her book today with the thought of how we can manage stress. Rabia, could you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes. This book is about my own healing journey in a fairy tale form. And the message is that we don't have to stay stuck in our negative conditioning from childhood, that we can today really choose to heal our lives, heal old patterns and trauma we got from our childhood year after year, day after day, and to really heal it and live in a much more joyful way.
There are times when I feel stress as a grown-up, and I'm wondering if there are ways that children could do things to manage that stress so that they don't have similar types of things when they grow up. Sometimes when I'm at work, I feel tension in my neck and shoulders. Are there things you'd recommend to children to help them prevent the same type of thing?
Yeah, there are lots of things that parents can really learn. That's why I wrote my book in a fairy tale form. And the journey it starts with me at the age of 4, very unhappy. I'm from Turkey, so it just was really very sad to have girls be raised, and girls are not important, you have to be a good girl, please people, you know. That caused a lot of stress. I had a near-death experience, I was sick, surgeries, you name it. So my healing journey got me onto writing this book and helping clients and groups deal with stress. It comes from negative belief systems. When I have a sense I'm not good enough, you're more important than me, then that stress year after year adds up in my body and creates tension and misunderstandings and fights or escapes or lots of things like that.
Is it important for children to develop a good self-impression then, to build self-confidence?
Yeah, when we really know that we have been told lots of lies as children. Very often, you know, you do something good, you're a good boy. You do something bad, you're a bad boy. This is a lie. Who you are is always lovable. And in what we do, of course, we're going to make mistakes. That's how we learn in these human lives, through our mistakes. So if children were told more and more, who you are is always lovable and good enough. And you're going to make some mistakes in the behavior level. So that would make a big difference in how children feel.
Are there specific things that people can do to manage through certain situations? Like suppose there's a big exam coming up and someone is feeling anxiety about that exam. How would they best deal with that anxiety and stress?
That's a great question. I like using pillows. Imagine a mother or a father, you know, is there, the child is feeling anxiety, and they're bringing a pillow so the child can express his or her anxiety onto the pillow. Because that way, he or she is not repressing it, creating tension, or expressing it in like hurting other people, you know, siblings or so. Then the anxiety is acknowledged. It's natural to feel anxious before an exam. It's not being pushed down or made wrong, right? Then the child is on just like talking to the pillow, all about the anxiety, while the mom or dad are holding the child's heart or any part of the body. Physical touch is very important for kids.
So you're saying someone should have something like a pillow as they study for the exam, just as a way to feel comfortable?
They can like talk to the pillow about what they're afraid of, all the fears. Then it's out of their mouth, it's expressed. It then creates the energy for them to study for the exam in a healthier way. Because if a child is told, you study, you shouldn't be afraid, you see how that deepens the stress. But if a child is told, of course, little one, it's natural for you to be afraid. I'm here to support you with your fear. You see, it's very different. The child is not being rejected that way.
Would that apply also to other situations? Like suppose a student needs to give a presentation, they're feeling anxiety and stress about giving that presentation. Would they deal with that in a similar or a different way?
Similar, as well as the more parents let their children know, the students, that even if they do a bad exam or a bad presentation, nothing is wrong with who they are. They are lovable. They are loved unconditionally. So that way, they're not making themselves wrong. That's where shame comes in very often, I'm wrong, I'm bad. No, no, no. You are lovable. You are good enough. You're equal to all of us. And sometimes an exam or a speech might go not as well as one would hope to. And the question then is, what can I learn from this? So I can do it better next time. But I'm already lovable exactly as I am right now.
Very good, Rabia. And then are there specific stress management techniques that you as a professional in the field teach to others?
Well, I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist. I work a lot with traumas from birth, childhood, deep ways of helping people, children, teenagers, as well as grown-up adults, to heal old belief systems about themselves, about life. If I'm believing life is bad, then my life is going to be, right? But if I believe life is good, then I'm shifting into that. So in the hypnotherapy ways, we really work beautifully in shifting the old beliefs into new truths. As well as I do hands-on healing work. I'm a Reiki master, and I do polarity therapy and craniosacral therapy, very deep nervous system balancing healing work for the body and the mind.
Now, you said hypnotherapy. Is that the kind of thing where you would put somebody in hypnosis and help them to better manage their stress?
Like basically what I do is I'm a hypnotherapist, which is different. I guide them into relaxation, and then we look at the stress in their life today, and then look at when it started. I'm asking them questions, so they're going into their past and finding when this stress really started. And then we're transforming, we're doing some healing with the age they were at that time. We're doing some wonderful healing ways, so their subconscious mind is not then carrying the stress belief. Because the subconscious mind is 90% of the mind. If 90% believes this is going to be bad, it's going to be bad. But when we're shifting the old childhood trauma, clearing it, then 50%, 60% of the subconscious mind is believing life is good.
Sometimes I feel anxiety when I'm at work, say on a conference call, and I'm presenting materials, and sometimes I just don't breathe like I should, and I feel anxiety. How would this type of therapy help me in something like that?
Excellent question. A wonderful technique I learned from my teachers, thanks to them, is we're separating the people at you're giving a talk to now from your childhood, like mom, dad, school, at school when you had to give your talk. So those anxieties are natural. Then what I do is I work, that's why I wrote the book, the 4-year-old little one in me. I tell her, Bill is an equal adult to me today. This is the year 2012. Bill is not mommy or daddy or the school kids who judged me, rejected me, right? I say, little one, you're in me now, in my body, in my heart. You're loved unconditionally. And I, as the adult Rabia, I have the skills to give a talk right now. So that way the wounded child inside of us gets the differentiation, we call it. Oh, this is not school time. This is America 2012, and this is Bill. He's an equal adult to Rabia. Does that make sense?
Okay, that's great advice, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about to this point is mental and behavioral type of thing. Are there any types of physical activities that you would recommend for stress management?
Breathing helps. You know, breathing, yoga, as well as working, you know, like with the pillow, to really being able to say it helps, and be accepted helps a lot. And also, when we realize more and more as an adult, we have skills. You know, I teach them very specific skills to heal the childhood stress, because the stress we carry is not the adult. Is our stress comes from the childhood, then gets projected onto an adult situation.
Are there certain behaviors that can help people manage stress? I know we talked about getting to appointments early so that you don't stress out about being late. Are there things like that you'd recommend?
Yeah, and the key is also we live in a very judgmental culture. So in my book I have like the judge, the cynic, the rebel, the victim, all the different parts, the good girl, all the different parts explain they come to a healing state within me, you know. So very often the judge says you should not be scared. You see, that brings even more stress. When I acknowledge, of course, in a new situation, the inner child is going to naturally feel stress. The acceptance, believe it or not, acknowledgement heals 50% of it right there, because I'm not judging.
It seems like a lot of the advice is around thinking positive and avoiding negative words. Could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, for me, in my experience, I can only talk about my experience and my client's experience. It doesn't work. Trying to avoid negative keeps it stuck in our system, nervous system. That's when so many people are addicted to a substance of some kind. Substance addiction comes from avoiding feeling what's really happening in the body. So when we're avoiding stress, then smoking or a pot or drinking or something gets, or eating sugar, which more was my thing. When Daddy would yell at us, would eat sugar, you know.
So the advice then is to face up to the stress and manage it?
And to really know that it can be healed. We don't have to be stuck. That's the key. As kids, we don't have choices. But if parents know we have choices, then the kids are taught at a younger age they have choices. They can totally start accepting they are in stress, and that's a natural thing to feel.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rabia. Are there any thoughts that we should take away from in managing stress?
That we are here, we are loved, the air loves us, the chair we're sitting loves us. We are loved unconditionally. Your guardian angel, your fairy godmother loves you. So we are loved. So when we're accepting stress is also natural, that love starts helping us with it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Rabia Erduman, and this is Bill Bascom signing off from Kids Camp Presents.
Hello, my name is Karyn, and I'm going to be reading some poetry from a very good friend of mine named Mark, and I hope you enjoy. Here we go. The first one is called Brown Bird. Brown bird, tilt of her body, a perfect balance. Oak tree's branches, the oak's broad leaves, her safe harbor. The next one is called Ever. You stand on that little knoll near the spot in the flower bed where you buried the parakeet last year. You look up and you imagine that you can see forever through swirling universes, through that pretender time, through the pink blanket in the resting place of lowly, a parakeet of fine distinction. This is called fencing. Over a fence, two people are sharing about the cost of canned soup. The roses certainly are listening. They must. These two people are standing over them, ostensibly pruning or trimming or otherwise cutting into the roses, cutting them in some way that will do us all so much good. Meditation. It is simple. Mother Earth sends the meditation up from the core to the surface, through my walking stick, into my hand. When I raise my hand to my head, like Columbo, I know. This one is called Ohio, circa 1958. The three boys, sweaters on, books, notebooks, clipboards, underarm until their shoulder blades ache, pinpoint pencil behind the ear, slide rule at attention. In this way, they sing glee, waiting for the school bus. Salmon. Salmon races upstream, leaping over its shadow. Sharing. Having seen yellow mums dancing, I have taken a vow to share my life. I have given my smile from across the room. Passenger. Through the compact car window, the huge brown autumn leaf blows in. Textured, magnificent, passenger for the day. Raccoon. A quick, light wind makes a small leafed tree tickle itself. The squirrels pause and chuckle, tails go up along the branches. Raccoon goes back to his chess game of finding food. Moth days. I waited for days for the moth to surface, to come up, to get frantic about a way out of my small room. Finally, he appeared, stumbling, confused. I opened a huge box. He flew in. I stuck the box through a window, releasing him where he would be happier. And as I danced in the kitchen singing, "I saved a moth, I saved a moth," he casually flies out from under the flap of the box, calmly, looking for nothing. Something new and hopeful. Pushed off the mountain by the fierce wind, Joey chased his kite, grabbed it, hid it behind the rocks. Joey stood up to the wind, protecting his kite from all corners. As the last gust exhausted, Joey's kite rose to the permanence of their bond, flying through the sky forever. Tree branches. A branch of a tree. Yes, like a ballet dancer, defining itself, messaging us, complementing the air, complementing the sky. A branch of water is a running stream of water, smaller than a creek. A branch of water graces our half-acre of tomatoes, green beans, of oak trees, of acorns fallen. This is a prose called Old Man from Ohio. He bent over the front desk, slapping at his chest to look for his eyeglasses, which were on the top of his head. "What do you mean she's in intensive care? No one told me over the phone she was that critical." The people he had spoken to over the phone were not any hospital staff at all, but his sister's husband and her grown kids. Harold lived on a little plot of land in northern Ohio. No one told him his sister was that sick. The woman at the information desk of the hospital, having been in this situation literally hundreds of times, knew just what to do. The young candy striper sitting next to her sensed there was about to be an important lesson. The more experienced woman, who was the candy striper's supervisor, began. First, she stood up. She faced the man directly. The man was probably in his 70s. He was wearing a very old suit. One would guess he had never been to California before. The woman's voice was powerful and compassionate. "You see that corridor? Hallway? You see that hallway?" She changed the wording, not knowing his education level, and the fact that he was in so much distress at the moment. Again, the candy striper's supervisor stood tall and delivered the same sentence. "Do you see that hallway?" As she said this, she physically pointed to the hallway. Hundreds of times she had directed distressed visitors to their destination within the hospital. Within a few seconds, her experience told her more help would be needed in this case. The old man had turned, revealing how bent over he really was. He started shaking a little and crying. He did not seem to have a handkerchief. He only brought his hand up to cover the embarrassment of his face. The supervisor turned to the young candy striper. "Julie, get Ryan on the phone to take my spot up here. I'm going to be helping this gentleman for a while." With that, she came around the desk, put her arm around the man's waist to support and console him. She began to talk to him in an even softer voice. Together, the two of them walked down the hallway. This is the last one. It's called The Wind and Its Ways. The small swirl of wind in Minnesota by the lake on Friday afternoon. Arizona air, so still. The little girl in her blue flower dress thinks the wind may never blow again. A fierce California hurricane. Or calm, pure Indiana air. People lay down in a field, look up, enjoy the sky, and just rest. The people in each location experience the air, that moment, as being entirely the way it is where they are. And yet the activity of all those other places is also going on. The air is part of each and every place. And that is how it is with us. We each operate as separate people, and also we are part of something more. Just as any given piece of the air, quite invisibly, is a small piece of all the air of the earth. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.